Moz fans. Welcome to another edition of Whiteboard Friday. This is a special holiday edition as we've just passed the 4th of July. But actually today I want to talk about a topic that has been causing some trouble and turmoil in the forums, especially at Digital Point and a few smaller blogs. There's been a lot of people complaining in the last few weeks about the SEO Moz tools. Now, granted, it's fantastic that somehow we've even become popular enough to have our tools criticized by the wider community. I think that shows, wow, SEO Moz is a real brand, and that's exciting stuff. But I wanted to address some of those concerns and explain why it's so hard to return accurate data in the tools on a consistent basis. So the big thing that we do, obviously we have like 800 premium members right now and something in excess of 40,000 regular registered members. Maybe it's even higher than that now. And all of those people run tools on a regular basis. If you look at the index tools list of which pages are most popular at SEO Moz, it's always the tools. The tools are very, very popular, which is great. I mean, it means that we built something exciting. However, right now it's kind of frustrating because we've gotten to this critical mass where they're not always accurate. Let me address why that happens and then address how we might work to try and fix that. So this should be some interesting stuff. So here we go. So here's SEO Moz, right? And we have whatever our IP address is. I made this one up, so whoever that is, rocksandsocks.com. And we make a request to Yahoo, for example, for link domain information, right? And sometimes it's through the API. Sometimes we're trying to grab it directly off a web page, like we'll make a request to DMoz or something like that. And about 50% of the time when we were making a request, this is back when the tools were very small, we'd see like real data coming back to us. Then sometimes we'd see inaccurate data. Like the data would show up there, but it would say like 4, you have 4 links. We're like, we have 50,000 links. What are you talking about? So strange. Sometimes we get a blank page. Blank page is terrific because then, unless you have regular expressions that say, oh, we'll look for the blank page, and then if it isn't there, refresh and try and get the information again, you just come back with nothing. And sometimes you get a timeout. So literally, Yahoo just sits there and sits there and sits there, waiting for the request to resolve, and really you never get the request to resolve. Now this is when you have like one IP address, and so you have people who are like, boo, SEO Moz sucks, and it's not really our fault, except we could be doing a better job, right? So we tried a lot of things. We tried making the time between the requests longer, which does help. That certainly helps. However, that means the tools run much slower, and people are very urgent to get it on demand right when they want it. We tried looking into a request whereby your browser, right, you sitting at home at your computer watching this video, you're actually the person making the request, which seemed like a really good way to go, except A, challenging to code, and B, would require you to say okay to a bunch of pop-ups that Internet Explorer would be like, oh my god, or Firefox would be like, oh my god, this person's trying to take over your computer. So obviously that's not a great solution either. Maybe it might be in the future for premium members, because they would probably say, yeah, it's okay, let SEO Moz have my computer, that's fine. So what we did come up with, though, was a solution that a lot of people had kind of pointed us towards. Still very challenging, very expensive, very time-consuming. Okay, so here's SEO Moz's box. And here's a ton of other servers, IP addresses, boxes. At first we were using free proxies that we found on the web. Free proxies no good. Okay, so we actually buy server space to have lots of IP addresses. Expensive, right? Well, and frustrating and difficult to come across. So we got these hundreds of IP addresses, and they're making the request to Yahoo, right? So instead of one IP address, we're getting hundreds. And then you've got some sort of data flux, right, where all of this stuff is happening. We're making all these requests. And somewhere between 40 and 80% of those requests generally tend to be accurate. So the 80% number would be, well, all of this depends on popularity, right? If there's loads of demand, you've got low accuracy, right? Because even if you've got hundreds of IP addresses, once you get into tens of thousands of requests per day, you've got the same problem you had before. And if you have low demand, then you have high accuracy. But we're working on it, right? So one of the things that we do is we try to talk to folks at the search engines and say, hey Yahoo, maybe you could provide us, maybe you could increase the API limit, maybe you could let us pay for it, right? Yahoo has a commercial API for their search marketing. We would love to pay for data from this, right? Like Amazon charges for data access for Alexa and stuff like that. We would love to pay Google for access to their stuff. We'd love to pay MSN when we access them. I think it's only fair, right? It's only fitting. So with those programs in place, that would be a great way to go. Other things that we're doing, obviously looking at acquiring many more IP addresses to try and keep up with demand. Is this a frustrating cat and mouse game? Yeah, it kind of is. Is it something that we're always thinking about and always working on? Yeah, I mean, I'll go up to Matt and be like, hey Matt, you know, the tools are really inaccurate and lots of people are sending me emails and complaining on the forums and boards, and well, you can imagine his response. So, you know, my hope is that at some point we will achieve some sort of balance, we'll find a good solution. Obviously we're trying to build more tools that do less grabbing of data from other sources and more internal grabbing of data, and we're trying to do a lot more, obviously, with premium content. I think the Q&A has been fantastic, and the guides and the tips and all that type of stuff. So we'll continue to grow those out, but absolutely we do intend to make the tools better, and I hope that you stick with us through this rough patch, and we'll clean it up. Take care.
I'll be standing at dinner and I'll be waiting to break ground and form a foundation. Let's connect for the promise to provide for the poor. The prosperity of you and yours. The simple fact